Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Man, it's been choppy. It's been one heck of a few months here in this chopsolidation. So today's video, my focus right now is to just help you all who might be new to the cycles or who might not be new, but just need a little bit of assurances as to the general direction of this market. You know, the longer we spend in this consolidation and the longer we spend inside of a downtrend, the higher the mental probability becomes that you start to believe the tweets where people say that this bull market is over. This bull market hasn't even really begun. And Bitcoin's price is highly correlated to the global money supply cycles. And we're going to go into the fundamentals of that and then take a look at a few technicals as well. And, you know, the problem with fundamental analysis is it doesn't always align with technical analysis, particularly when it comes to time. You know, time is one of the hardest things to quantify in these markets. So even though the fundamentals of cheap money are coming to the markets, people become very impatient, and this market has been testing the patience of many market participants, including myself with some of the recent trades that the bot took, some worst case scenario trades that the bot took. Again, worst case scenario trades is not account blowouts. We mitigate risk where we can, but yeah, it's been choppy and it hasn't been great from the algo side of things either. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the king of all crypto, and that is Bitcoin. So we're going to start things off here on the daily. And what I want to talk about is just, you know, we're still inside of this consolidation. We haven't broken structure of this consolidation yet. However, we are threatening another lower low. So currently, as it stands right now, we have a low. Let me grab my pen tool here. We have a low. Here, let's do the whole thing. We got a downtrend. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So this is kind of the make or break as to whether we're going to have an opportunity to change the trend direction in the short term, or do we have to experience lower levels? Does the market need to sell off a little bit more for smart money to become interested and start to buy up the supply? But, you know, whatever happens moving forwards, I guarantee you the smart money, if they aren't already in, they are waiting for a discount to buy. Smart money is here. Smart money is buying. The only people who are experiencing emotional responses right now are retail investors. The fundamentals have never been stronger. And we'll, like I said, we'll dive into some of those. But yeah, if we take out this low, then the downtrend continues and we continue to print lower highs and lower lows. Now, how much of a discount is warranted, I guess, would be a word we would use for savvy investors to become reinterested in Bitcoin. Now, historically speaking, what Bitcoin does during many bull market retracements is it will retrace 30, sometimes 35% in a bull market. And it'll do that multiple times. Let's actually, before we take a look at this price action, let's go over the weekly and take a look at some of the prior cycles. We don't need RSI. Let's turn logarithmic on. Go back to auto. And let's take a look at the 2017 cycle, because I actually think we're setting up for a similar market cycle. We're showing a lot more structural comparatives to this cycle than we are to this cycle. So let's take a look at some of these bull market retracements that we've had. From high to low here, coming out of the bull market, 40%. From high to low, 40%. From high to low, 35%. from high to low. 33, we'll call it 34% from high to low. 39%. 40% again. And then the blow off top. That's where you got a real retracement. This is 70% down. Is that right? 70%? Wow. The point I'm trying to make here is 30 to 35% retracements is normal. It's normal. It's what Bitcoin does its whole way up. So to say, oh my God, this market is over, we've gone down too far, we're in a bear market, doesn't make sense because we haven't seen these levels. Let's take a look at some of the retracement levels from the prior cycle. The prior cycle didn't really have too many of those. So, you know, again, if we're expecting the market cycle to be similar to 2017, you also need to expect all of the pullbacks that'll come along with that. Weekly and monthly inverted, I'd be yelling buy, buy, buy. Yes. We have our own metrics for a buy, and we'll go over those as well. 21%, not much of a retracement, but man, was this cataclysm at the time. That was DeFi summer implosion. And right here at the top, 31% retracement. What was COVID? COVID, I think, was a 50% haircut. 63, wow. And what if we took out COVID? What is this haircut here? 53. So again, 30% corrections to 35% corrections are not unusual. We could even see 40% corrections. Let's delete all these. Let's see where we sit right now. So far, 33% correction. Now we could go to 35. And, you know, based off of historicals, we could go to 40, which would bring us to this support level right here, which is sitting us right around $43,000 for a worst case scenario. The important thing in these types of market conditions is to have a plan. What are you going to do if we see this? Are you then going to sell your position? Does that make sense? Or are you going to try and muster up a way to capitalize on a severe discount that smart money is buying? Now, again, I'm not saying that we're going to these levels. I'm saying that should we go to these levels, you should not be surprised. Let's actually approach this a little bit differently. Let's grab a Fibonacci. Let's go from the low of the market cycle thus far to the market cycle high thus far. Oh, we got to get it off log. There we go. And that brings us to the 38.2% retracement, the 50% retracement, and the 61.8% retracement lines. Really don't think we're going to see a 61.8% correction. That usually doesn't happen in a bull market. A 50 is also highly unlikely in a bull market, but we could see a 38.2, and that's right in this liquidity zone right here at around 52. We've already tested it once. We've come through on a panic sell liquidation event, and maybe we come down and test it again. So that would be the 54. But, you know, in order of probability, this is your higher probability outcome, the 38.2. The next probability on the macro would be the 0.5 at 44, which you've got massive, massive support here. This consolidation right here, this is the only consolidation that built any structure on the way up. It has a lot of support. we can see that support too. If we take a look at the VPVR, boom, we've got confluence there with the VPVR showing that this is an area of high support. You can see the volume here. We also have high support, coincidentally enough, at the 38.2. So we do have support levels holding us up at these below us, with extremely strong support here at around the $43,000 level, with 44 being where the Fibonacci retracement level would be. If we touch those levels, I mean, you gotta, not financial advice, but you gotta figure out how to get some liquidity into this market. That's going to be a crazy, crazy discount, which again, I'm not saying is going to happen, but it's a possibility. So you need to be mentally prepared with it, for it. Now, let's go to the fundamentals just briefly, because we did mention there are fundamental reasons that I believe this market isn't over, and it's the Fed, man. So let's take a look at the Fed. So here's the current expectations for the upcoming FOMC meeting on September 18th. It is 9 days, 15 hours, and 18 minutes away for the next FOMC meeting, where it is expected with a high degree of certainty that we're going to have a 500 to 525. I don't. Let me know in the chat, what is the unit below a basis point or a BIP? Because this is a 50 to 52.5 basis point cut, meaning a half to about a half of a percent in a rate cut target. The market consensus is at 69% expecting a rather large cut, which is going to signal to the market that we're ready for another cycle of money printing and money expansion. This is just the Federal Reserve. All of the central banks around the world are going to follow suit, and we're going to see a global money supply event that increases. And when these events kick off, they're not short-term events. They don't, flip-flop month to month, trying to issue new currency, we'll do a half a basis point here. Oh, that didn't work. Like they don't correct quickly if something doesn't work. So this will last about a year. So from this time, September, to next September, I expect the cycle of liquidity to be concluding or getting close to it. So I expect asset prices to climb for the next year. That's the fundamentals. Now, pinpointing when that trend direction changes on the technical side of Bitcoin, that's harder to do. That's harder to do. A couple things, though. If we don't get a dump in September, I'm not expecting a dump in October. I think October is going to be a positive month for Bitcoin. Just based off of historical data, it has always been a positive for Bitcoin. And we'll go into some longer term stuff as well in just a moment. But yeah, going back over to here, let's take a look at the aggregated expectations. And you can see that basically until September 17th, 2025, we're expecting basis point cuts. We're expecting rate cuts. And they're relatively aggressive. They're starting off quite aggressive coming into this meeting in 9 days. And then they're tapering off into the end of next year. So this is in an attempt to stimulate the economy and stimulate the market. Buff link, 200 long or short right now. Okay. Financial advice, 100% certainty. Do both. Do both. Stop loss on either side. You want to see Chop City? Let's do that. But yeah, so this is the fundamentals of money. Let's actually go and take a look at what is the name of that website? I have it bookmarked. let's take a look at, here's the proof in the pudding here for what I am talking about. All right, so you have the price, which is in black. This is Bitcoin's price. And then you have the periods of expansion of the money supply in these green waves. So this is expansion of the money supply, and in orange is contraction of the money supply. But the overall money supply, the G2 global supply, is here in blue. You can see that every time this blue line is in a downtrend, Bitcoin is in a bear market. Every time this blue line is in an uptrend, Bitcoin is in a bull market. Blue line to the downtrend, Bitcoin's in a bear market. Blue line in an uptrend, Bitcoin's in a bull market. Blue line in a downtrend, Bitcoin's in a bear market. Blue line in an uptrend, Bitcoin's in a bull market. We can already see that the uptrend is established. Let me move this over. People on YouTube Shorts won't be able to see it, but you can already see that this is in an uptrend. It's an established uptrend. Now, you might be saying to yourself, okay, well, how do you know the uptrend is going to continue? I know that the uptrend is going to continue because of the other chart, the expectations of the Fed. This is how I know the uptrend is going to continue. So if I know the uptrend is going to continue, and I know that we're already in an established uptrend, and the expansion of the money supply is only going to go up, and Bitcoin's price is in a bull market during those periods, what can I draw? How do you draw? What conclusion do you draw from that data? The conclusion you draw from that data is we are going into a bull market for the next year. That much is certain to me. What is not certain is the short-term price action and the short-term volatility. Time is incredibly hard to quantify in these markets. But, you know, I've said it multiple times, you know, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I think, you know, going back to your comment there, 200x long, I think for right now, until the market has a little bit more confidence in direction, I think the only thing we're missing right now is just confidence. People are taking profits very, very quickly, very aggressively. And on top of that, people are starting to short. We can see that in the short-term price volatility. Let's go over here and let's turn Black Box on because we had two really shitty trades. I try to be transparent. And those who are hooked up on the bot are more than aware that the last two trades were shit. But this is what's happening in the market. So we're getting these big moves up, these big, very quick moves up. These are stop loss liquidations from the short sellers. The whole market's shorting now. We're in a low liquidity environment. People are now starting to talk about shorts. You know, the market is growing an appetite for shorts. Many people in the community are starting to short. And when everybody starts talking about shorts, I can't help but feel that we're approaching a bottom of some kind. The money made in shorts happens when you're in the euphoria stage in the top of the market. And right now we've had 6 months of brutal price action to the downside. And it's only now that I'm starting to see everybody be like, oh yeah, you got to do this. And this is how you short. And this is a great strategy for shorts and blah, 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 blah. So because of the lack of interest in the market, we're in a low liquidity environment. What happens in a low liquidity environment is it's very easy to move price. If it's very easy to move price and people are shorting and they're wrong, you get these big liquidation events to the upside as they are forced to buy. That's the liquidation of a short seller, is they're forced to buy. They have to buy those positions back so that they can sell them back to the market, give them back to the rightful owner. So we had a liquidation price to the up, trigger to buy, and the market immediately corrected as the people who were on the receiving end of this took aggressive profits. The exact same thing happened over here where boom, out of nowhere, we had a big green candle. This was a liquidation event to the upside from the short sellers getting wrecked. And then immediately the market came back down and corrected, putting us out of our position, taking us out, hitting our stop loss. So that's the current market conditions right now. We're seeing people getting wrecked on shorts, which again, to me, is a bullish sign. When people start getting wrecked on shorts, it means that we're close to a bottom. Doesn't mean we can't go to lower levels. Does not mean we can't go to lower levels. But yeah, September is proving to be a less than ideal trading environment, and that's probably going to be how it goes for the rest of September, leading into the meeting in 9 days. Maybe the meeting, the FOMC meeting, flips the sentiment of the market at that point, but also expect a lot of volatility on the day. If we have the prediction markets saying that we're going to have a really aggressive cut, and we don't get a really aggressive cut, then maybe we see a dump. Or maybe the market is expecting a very aggressive cut and we get a more aggressive cut, then the asset prices are going to pump. But you're going to see a lot of choppiness, a lot of volatility on that day. So do be careful. From a fundamentals perspective, Bitcoin halving cycle profit by Kevin Svensson is really neat. We are normally double the low position halfway to the take profit. We normally double the low position halfway to the TP time zone. Okay. I'm trying to process that. We normally double the low position halfway to the TP time zone. Halving cycle. So it's funny. I don't know if Satoshi actually did this on purpose, but the halvings seem to correlate with the cycle of the M2 money supply. I don't know if that was intentional. If it was intentional, then holy shit, is Satoshi a genius. Really and honestly and truly, he is a genius. Because that's an incredible amount of care and calculation to create a money that's intended to fight inflation, that is also repriced, forcing the market to reprice every 4 years, which just so happens to correlate before expansion of the money supply. The money supply expands every 4 years. The halving occurs every 4 years. If that's intentional on Satoshi's part, that's incredible. But I actually don't think that the halving is as profound on its own as just this correlation right here. We hear it all the time, money printer go burr. When the money printer go burr, that's this big green line, this big green area chart. When the money printer go burr, Bitcoin price goes up. It's fighting inflation. As long as governments are in a position of power where they are able to print money and they cannot resist the temptation to print money, then we're going to continue to have these expansionary periods of the Bitcoin price, which just so happen to be on a 4-year cycle, that correlate with the halving for some reason. So the low, normally double the low position halfway. Halfway of what? Halfway to what? The halving? I expect higher prices, but I'm ridiculously bullish this cycle. But yeah, time is an important thing to take into consideration. On the note of time, let's actually do something else here. I'm going to go to the monthly chart. Let's turn off this. Let's go to this chart right here. So we're in September. Let's go to logarithmic, auto. We're in September. And we're going to mark all of the Septembers that were election years. Oops. Notice a trend. Notice a trend. Again, it's funny too, because the election years are also on a 4-year cycle. So you got the elections, the US elections are on a 4-year cycle. You have the global money supply on a 4-year cycle, and you have the halving on a 4-year cycle. That's interesting. Take, read into that what you will, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Can't see your current screen. It's at the top of the short. Rate cuts also usually lead towards recessions or at least a dip in the economy. Anyone thinking that crypto is doomed or going away is solely mistaken. September is typically a red month. BlackRock is now the largest holder of Bitcoin, only behind Satoshi. Oh, that's an interesting statistic. Very interesting statistic. I think we priced it in really early with the ETF, just time. Yes, I agree. We got carried away with the cycle. We went up too fast, too quickly. We've never had an all-time high break prior to the halving. So that right there is telling you that, something is front-running bullishness. There is an exceedingly bullish sentiment that is ahead of schedule. So yes, we are ahead of schedule as far as the cycle is concerned, which means that for us transitioning into the next part of the market cycle, which I've called on numerous occasions phase 2, phase 1 of the bull market is all of the market participants who are from the last cycle now finally seeing a price expansion in the new cycle. Phase 2 is the next wave of new money. It's the next wave of retail. Your friends and family haven't bought Bitcoin. They just haven't. They do that in phase 2. So when the new money comes in, that's the really, really exciting part. But going back to these Septembers, this September was a green month, and it was right before phase 2. Phase 2 of the bull market. So September marked the beginning of the price action leading into the blow off top. Phase 2 of the bull market. This is when everybody gets in. The September 2016 election year, halving year, global money supply year, also represented the beginning of phase 2. September 2020 election year, global liquidity year, halving year, again represented the beginning of phase 2. Some people say that this is the bull market all the way over here. I think that second top in the last cycle is a dead cat bounce, but it was a higher high, so let's put it in there. It represents the beginning of phase 2. So based off of all of the data that we have, all of the price data from prior cycles, the assumption is that the election year, the cycle of money printing, and the halving have not been priced in. And we're going to experience a phase 2 bull market. We're right on time as far as where we needed to be. We just got to the all-time high break too early. So yeah. If we had the same rally, we're up at $327,000 per Bitcoin. Again, I find that to be conservative. Oh, is my screen not working? Can't see your mouse. Okay. My screen isn't working. That's it. I was on the wrong thing. Okay. We got sound now. My apologies, everybody. Okay. We're back. My apologies. That was super confusing. Okay. So to recap once again, so sorry, everybody. Trying this new vertical streaming, got confused. I'm back. Hope I didn't lose too many of you. But yeah, September, it represents entering phase 2 of the bull market. September of 2016 represents entering phase 2 of the bull market. And September 2020 represents entering phase 2 of the bull market, and September of 2024, I believe, will represent entering phase 2 of the bull market with a price objective, at least based on this, of at least 250, at least $250,000 per Bitcoin. My thoughts are we actually break this other narrative that's out there, where there's this narrative where it's we're experiencing diminishing returns inside of Bitcoin. That to me has never made any sense whatsoever, because we're on the lower end of the adoption curve. An adoption curve is basically an S curve. It looks like this. You have a big move up, and then a slowdown, and then a big move up. Again, that's not really the shape I'm looking for. It looks like this. So I think we're here, where yes, you're experiencing diminishing returns cycle to cycle, but eventually the diminishing returns will shift, and you'll start to see higher and higher prices, and you'll see increasing returns over time. And the reason I think that is just because of the global adoption rate of Bitcoin. Nobody uses Bitcoin. It's ridiculous to think that we're going to continually have diminishing returns in the price of Bitcoin while adoption hasn't even reached its acceleration phase. When the acceleration of adoption occurs, the acceleration of price also occurs. I was talking to some guy. He said, being too early is almost the same as being wrong. And it took me a while to figure out what he was saying, but we're very early to this. So it can really test your conviction and make you feel as though you're crazy, make you feel as though you're totally wrong, and the market will just continually test you. But I don't think you're crazy. I think that Bitcoin fundamentals continue to rise, and I don't think we're wrong either. Are we biased? Are we crazy? Are we in a cult? Maybe. Maybe. How high can you see Kaspa going this cycle? Okay, Rect 57. That's a really difficult. That's a very difficult question to answer. Because I don't look at price targets, especially on shitcoins. Let's take a look at Kaspa real quick. The thing about the altcoin market as a whole is it's entirely dependent on Bitcoin's cycle. So I wouldn't ask myself the question, how high do I think Kaspa can go? I would ask myself, what are going to be my behaviors once Bitcoin shows that it's topping out? The price is anybody's fucking guess. It's anybody's guess. Anybody that's, you can draw comparisons between market cap, but nobody can predict the difference between a $500 million market cap and a $50 billion market cap. It's all just guesses. It's all completely just a guess. So what the better strategy is whatever price Kaspa is at when Bitcoin starts to go down is the price I sell it at. So if Bitcoin shows that we're getting out here, whatever the price Kaspa's at is the price that you sell at. I have no fucking idea what the price of Kaspa will be. And nobody does. Nobody does. Just like I have no idea what the price of Bitcoin will be. My bullish range targets on Bitcoin are massive. My bearish range targets, I think, are relatively achievable. And the difference between the bearish range and the bullish range is a huge, huge difference that's not even worth talking about because it doesn't help anybody make a plan. What you need to do is look at the price behavior and have certain things in place that we look at that signal to us it's probably a good time to start taking profits and reduce exposure. And when those market conditions occur in real time, we react in real time and we don't pay attention to the price. The price is completely irrelevant. The price could be anything. It's just, what is price doing? You're excited for Caspa meme coins. Where is the liquidity from retail coming from to buy our bag? Normally, people can't even afford rent or food, yet alone speculative internet money. It's going to come from people who have money, as it always does. But you make a good point. You know, how is retail going to fit into this picture? Listen, when Bitcoin's at $100,000 and then it goes up to $250,000, people are going to find money. Plain and simple. You know how I know? Because they always fucking do. They always fucking do. It doesn't matter if they're starving. Doesn't matter if they can't pay their electric bill. Because people are desperate and they're looking for an opportunity to get out of the rat race. And they will sell anything and they will do anything to try and get out of the rat race. I'm not worried about retail finding money when they are FOMOing into something they don't understand. They'll find it. They always do. My ETH bag, which used to be the same size as my BTC bag, is now a third of my BTC bag. ETH, hold or roll into BTC Sol. So at this point, any position reallocation, in my opinion, would be a mistake. We're so close to Bitcoin dominance changing direction. I've been saying that Ethereum would not outperform Bitcoin for fucking years now. Years and years and years. No joke. Absolutely been talking about it since fucking May of 2021. We've been marking this as a distribution. And I still think it can go down to 3 million sats. But this will break the trend eventually. And when it does that, we're going to experience a transition in the entire market. So do I think Solana can do well? Yes. I think Solana is actually going to do better than Ethereum. But to make those changes now, I don't think is a good call. You know, again, not financial advice. We don't have a crystal ball here. But I feel like even though Ethereum is potentially going down to 3 million sats per ETH, we've already lost in Bitcoin terms so much. We've already lost, 50% in Bitcoin terms. I just don't think there's much juice in that lemon left to squeeze. Eventually, the altcoin season will return. Eventually, we go into this environment, phase 2. Phase 2 of the bull market is when things get silly. That's when things get exciting, right? So you don't want to miss phase 2 and you don't want to reallocate into Bitcoin right before phase 2 starts. Again, not financial advice, but phase 2 is when the altcoins have their day in the sun. ETH is competing against all the parasitic L2s. That's a narrative. So I don't know where you are in your journey here. And ultimately, I'm a trader. I'll trade these altcoins. But if you haven't already figured it out, every single altcoin that isn't Bitcoin is a scam. And it's because we only need one distributed ledger globally. A lot of people get really triggered by that, and that's fine. These are my opinions. But there will always be a fundamental narrative to wrap people's heads around a price dump. That will always occur. So layer 2's leeching liquidity from ETH? No, they're not. What's happening is people aren't buying ETH. That's what's happening. Ethereum has lost its way in what it was. Ethereum was the OG shitcoin casino. And this cycle, it has not been the shitcoin casino. It has not been the place to speculate on NFTs. It has not been the place to speculate on yield and DeFi. It has not been the place of the meme coins. That's been Solana. Solana, this cycle, is what Ethereum was last cycle. The main driving force of demand for ETH was speculation on shitcoins, and they're not doing that this cycle. So that's what's happened. That's what's happened with Ethereum BTC is people don't want to speculate on Ethereum because they can't make money speculating on Ethereum. Eventually that'll change, you know. Eventually everything will go up. That's what phase 2 is all about. But yeah, don't hold it in a bear market. ETH sucks, so expensive. Bitcoin's pretty expensive too in the right conditions. That also doesn't matter. If people can make an opportunity, they will price the fees into that opportunity. Fees will be in the thousands of dollars one day. A simple Bitcoin transaction will cost $10,000 one day. Will you be using it on the layer where it costs $10,000? Nope. Nobody will. But on the base layer of settlements, that's how much a Bitcoin transaction will cost. It doesn't matter. It goes into the cost of operation for the value of the transaction that you're trying to do. No offense, BTC sucks to trade on as well. These last 2 months for sure. Absolutely. But if you held a Bitcoin position, a healthy Bitcoin position in the last, since September of 2022, that has seen much more gains than any other market. If we go to, let's go to Bitcoin. And then let's add a few coins. Let's add Ethereum, ETH, USD. Let's add, what's another top altcoin? Polkadot. What is Polkadot? Dot, that's right. Dot, let's add Solana. Solana will be a winner. It's one of the outliers this cycle. It's been fabulous this cycle. Cardano. VeChain. That one's not going to do anything. XRP. See, these are some of the biggest names in crypto. Stellar Lumens, XLM. Some of the biggest names in crypto. And let's run it back a year. And with the exception of Solana, which is up 559% on the year, the biggest gainer is Bitcoin. Let's go to where the bull market began. Where's the bull market low? Right here. All right, from the actual bull market low, Bitcoin's up 159%, Solana's up 200%, and the next one to that, which is Stellar Lumens, is 87%. So Bitcoin's up nearly twice as much as the next top altcoin below Solana in terms of performance. So Bitcoin's been great. If you've had a heavy Bitcoin allocation this cycle, you've been doing just fine. Look, some of these are even down 50%. Brutal. So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's not doing crazy melt your face moves, but the altcoins haven't been doing jack shit with the exception of a very few outliers. What about Whiff or Bonk or Popcat? Sure. Let's throw those up. Whiff. Bonk. These are so fucking stupid. Popcat. Pepe. pizza. Popcat, crazy. I'd be taking profits on that one. The meme coins are get in, get out. Just want to make that really clear. These are quite literally pump and dumps. Next to that is Pepe, up 500%. Then Bitcoin up 185%. Bonk is down 31% since the bull market started. Pizza's down 71% since the bull market started. WIF is basically break even since the bull market started. It's at, we'll call it zero, slightly below zero. So there are outliers, and where are these two heading? They're going to go below Bitcoin. These are pump and dumps. Know the game that you are playing so that you can be a formidable player. Meme coins are a game and nothing more. So just be aware of that. Put Caspa on there. Caspa's done incredibly well. Since the bull market started, exceedingly well. Oh my God, just ridiculous. It's gone to fucking Mars, guys. Absolutely ridiculous. Kudos to anybody who got kudos to anybody who even bought here. Incredible. This is meteoric. Absolutely insane. Not even close. So there are outliers out there. They do exist. But that's the difference between phase 1 of the bull market and phase 2. Phase 1 will have a couple outliers that just do nonsensical things that, provide liquidity for the rest of the gambles. Phase 2, everything goes up. Phase 2, everything goes up. If somebody hears a ticker, they buy it. Fast money, furious losses. Yeah, man. Big time. Holding in bear market is easier than losing coins in a bull market. Are you talking about liquidation? What are you talking about? I'm sorry, I meant to build on as a blockchain. It's just not true. Anything can be built on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's programmable money. Don't fall for those narratives. Do not fall for those narratives. Bitcoin is the settlement layer for everything. Period. Any function that you want to do can be done on Bitcoin. Nobody gives a fuck if it happens on layer 1. As long as it happens. As long as there's a guarantee that it happens, we're good. As long as there's a guarantee that there's no money debasement and no money printing, we're good. Any function you want to do on top of that, it's the exact same as the internet. You talking to me right now, you know how many layers deep you are on the internet to get to TCP/IP, where I can interpret what you're saying on the end of a fucking OBS software stream? You're so many layers deep. And Bitcoin is exactly that. Bitcoin base layer is the base layer protocol on which all applications will be built. And those applications are not going to be slow. Those applications are not going to be expensive. You don't need to settle everything on the base layer. Trust me. And we're going to see that. Actually, September 9th. What's the date today? Here in Asia, it's September 9th. I think Bitcoin is getting a... Let's check in on that, actually. I think that's on Unisat. Where is it? It's Fractal Bitcoin. Might not be launched yet. Fractal Bitcoin, which is a new layer, not a base layer. Should be launching. It's the 9th here in Asia. Mainnet is now live. Boom. There you go. Fractal Bitcoin ecosystem. Let's take a look. So this is DeFi on Bitcoin. Just launching today on a secondary layer. Like it just would have launched a few hours ago. So it's nowhere near, it's not an ecosystem at all yet. It probably has nothing built on it yet either. Only native scaling solution. More about Fractal. View the Explorer. Let's take a look. Came out today, yeah. Stacks, Rootstack, BVM, Lightning, Merlin, Fractal Bitcoin launches tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. So the layers built on top of Bitcoin. This is another narrative trap that the altcoin users and the altcoin advocates try to trick people into believing. They say, you know, that's the biggest criticism of Lightning. It's like, oh, Bitcoin on Lightning, that's not Bitcoin. Fuck you, it's not Bitcoin. How is it not Bitcoin? It runs on the Bitcoin system of nodes. It's Bitcoin validators validating transactions of who holds what where. How isn't it Bitcoin? Other than the fact that it's free and instant payments. It's just it's a psyop. It's a psyop from the altcoin communities, because if you can trick people into not understanding, they'll be convinced that an altcoin has value. Ultimately, what the blockchain does is it stores data of ownership. How often you need to actually update the ownership is completely irrelevant. If I buy a house and it takes a month for that ownership to be proven on the blockchain, but I have the transaction and I have all the places and the transaction flow and the order flow of everything to prove that it will be settled, that's as good as gold, man. That's as good as done. Deal done. I don't care that it takes a month to get put into a transactional an organization app to, you know, batch transactions and post it on the blockchain. It does not matter. The throughput of Bitcoin is millions and millions of transactions per second, free and instant. That is the throughput of Bitcoin. The settlement layer is 7 transactions per second, but it doesn't matter. The user experience is all that matters. Permissionless mining, merge mining. So like I said, nothing's really built here yet. It would have just launched. So nothing's built. Less than 12 hours ago, this launched. But look at all the mining pools already contributing to it. Spider pool, 23% of the hash power. Maxi pool, 14% of the hash power. Anyways, this is kind of boring shit because there's really nothing to look at. There's no projects or anything. But this is day one. This is day one of DeFi on Bitcoin. But you only buy a house a few times in your lifetime. Visa can't run on Bitcoin, taking a month per transaction settlement. Visa settles every month. That's how often Visa settles. This is my point. This is what people don't understand. So a credit card settles a transaction over a 30-day period. But the user experience is instant. So Visa has a application layer that is an accounting layer that accounts for who owns what where, exactly the same as what Lightning does. And then on a monthly basis, the accounts get settled. Visa settles monthly with the banks. It does not do, an instant transaction on the Visa network is not settled. What is the next big gem to buy? I don't know, man. I think this is going to bring a lot of attention to BRCs. BRC20s. So we're going to see the BRC20s do well again, in my opinion. especially when liquidity pools open back up. People are going to start funding the pools. Once they start funding the pools and adding liquidity to the pools, that's going to create its own little bull market. So let's take a look at some BRC20s. Let's go to, what's a good place to list BRC20s? Let's go to Ordinal's wallet. Let's go market. Actually, is that a good place for BRC20s? I'm so out of the loop now. It's been months. Where are the BRC20s hanging out? Are they on Magic Eden? Collections. Apologies, I haven't looked at BRC20s in a while. I was on Unisat. We'll take a look at Unisat if I can't find anything. But yeah, these are just projects. Let's go to Unisat. Marketplace. Ordinals. BRC20s. Trending in BRC. Pizza. Wizard. 24-hour change. Not much. 17% on Ordi. Let's take a look at Ordi. No 17% change here. Getting close to the end of the downtrend. We'll see if it gets a rejection and holds this, or if it holds this support. So Ordi didn't get a 17% change here. Maybe here. Yeah, 19% change here. Hasn't updated yet. I guess that's part of the 7. No, that's a 24-hour change. I don't know. That's weird. Track up 5% on here. But all of these BRC20s, you're going to see liquidity pools open up on Fractal Bitcoin. And when you open a liquidity pool, you have to fill it with liquidity. Filling a liquidity pool with liquidity is demand. Can you group transactions on the 7-second Bitcoin, or must it be one-to-one? No, dude, absolutely not. You can put 1 million transactions all in order, and they have this. This is going to happen. That's very distracting. Where, eventually how the wallets will be designed is, instead of priority by fee, you'll do priority through organizer. So if you want a high priority transaction to hit the blockchain, you'll be grouped together with like 100 other transactions, and it'll create a roll up, and then you post that one transaction to the settlement layer. If it's not a high priority transaction, well, maybe you'll wait for 1,000 other transactions to be loaded into the organizer before those are rolled up and posted as one transaction to the settlement layer. Or if it's really no priority whatsoever, the wallet will wait for 10,000 other users' transactions to be posted before it rolls up the 10,000 transactions, puts them into one transaction, and settles it on the base layer. All of this is actively being worked on, and it's coming. And you can do it now. When we do payroll internally with our company, everybody gets paid in the exact same transaction. My transaction has like 20 different transactions inside of it. I roll it up into one. You can have an infinite amount of inputs result in one output. Or you can have an infinite amount of inputs result in an infinite amount of outputs per transaction. You advocate for BTC and don't know how to buy things built on Bitcoin. Says it all. Okay. They have to make it easier, better for the end user. That's a fair criticism. That's a fair criticism. The user experience is not phenomenal. But Bitcoin also has, the properties of sound money, which no altcoin has. 99.9% of the altcoins don't even work on proof of work. They don't have fixed supplies. It's not sound money. The internet today is designed to extract fiat currency, which is the soundest form of money that exists today because there is no sound money. But the US dollar is one of the soundest forms of money, which is ridiculous because it's not sound money at all. It's completely debased. But the internet is designed to capture that value. Once companies realize that if they manage their cash position in Bitcoin, they actually don't need to work as hard. They don't need to work as hard to constantly need to adjust, to constantly need to month extract as much value as possible. And they can offer better products. And they can take their time with those better products and not be so much, there won't be so much of a hustle because they're not burning opportunity costs by needing to spend capital. Cardano is a sound money now with its new update. Doubt it. Has a founder. But, believe what you will. These are just my opinions at the end of the day. Bitcoin can't be done again. It won't be done again. It's either Bitcoin or nothing. And a lot of people don't agree, and that's fine. I'm not here to try and convince you. I'm not here to try and change your mind. But I would encourage you to look at what is special about Bitcoin, what is unique about Bitcoin, and look at the criticisms of Bitcoin, and then try to really get to the fundamentals of, are those criticisms valid? One of the biggest criticisms is, it's too slow. Is a slow blockchain actually bad for settlements? If you make a mistake on a secondary layer, wouldn't you want to have at least a small period of time where you can reverse a transaction? Or do you want it to instantly be irreversible? Refunds aren't a thing anymore. Changing your mind isn't a thing anymore. I don't think that settlement needs to be instantaneous. I think it's actually a feature that settlement is not. Any function can be programmed and put onto the Bitcoin network without permission. And I feel like altcoins are just a bunch of flash. The best altcoin out there is Ethereum, and half of the supply that exists was minted out of thin air. It's garbage. It's fucking garbage. It's fiat. If your protocol does not work on proof of work, it's fiat. It's baseless. Proof of work is one of the most ingenious things. It's one of the most ingenious parts of Bitcoin. Proof of work is what gives Bitcoin a price. If you have proof of stake, that's just proof of being rich. And there's no actual value add to the network. Unless Cardano has gone to proof of work, I'm not a fan. You might think differently. Many people do. But proof of work is a good thing. All right. Running out of things to say here, so I think I will close things out there. The Ruggers would love instant settlement. Exactly. It's built with the same fundamentals as Bitcoin and other government systems that can onboard to a nation just like Bitcoin. And they work together, not against. Check it out. I've checked Cardano out up and down. Trust me. Unless they've moved to proof of work, which I already know they haven't, I'm not interested. No offense. No offense. It's just, you're never going to do Bitcoin again. Charles Hoskinson. He's a fucking scammer. Looks like a nice guy, but he only left Ethereum so that he could fork and do his own shit so that he could get rich. And nobody knows who Satoshi is. The dude is It's just this immaculate conception that will never be repeated again. It's never going to happen again. It's Bitcoin or bust. All right. On that note, sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to cause offense. Am I interested in Caspa? No, I'm not. I know it's proof of work. I'm not. Its issuance is too high. All of that being said, the most important thing to remember, don't hate it, don't date it, just trade it. When we look at the higher time frames, what are we expecting here, ladies and gentlemen? We are expecting and entering into phase 2. All right, so let's not lose sight. Everything goes up. My opinions don't fucking matter at all. Cardano will go up. Caspa will go up. Solana will go up. Ethereum will go up. The entire altcoin market will go up in phase 2 of the bull market. That's what we're here for. That's what we're excited about. So, we'll just end it on that light note. So thank you all for joining into the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out the links down below if you want to get into the Discord. Free Discord, free trading bots. Trading bots haven't been doing too great this month, full disclosure, but they are there for when this bull market's ready to behave in our favor. And until next time, please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.